Hi there. Today we're talking about hip strength and flexibility. It is absolutely essential that the hips are not only strong but also flexible in order to get our alignment correct, right? Because there are two types of hip alignments that I see a lot. One is this way and one is that way, and we want it to be all lined up. If this doesn't line up, then we really struggle here and all the way up through the chain. So core stability has a lot to do with hip flexibility, which I teach a lot. So I'm going to give you a couple of basics today that you can practice, especially if you're stuck in one of those tilted positions. We are sitting a lot. A lot of us have really short psoas and really short lower backs just from sitting. So a lot of this movement and a lot of the stretching is just to lengthen back out what we've done by sitting a lot. Now remember, if you do have a sedentary job, there are so many options for you. Get up every hour or make your desk in a way that you can be standing or sitting and be moving around, because staying in a sitting position can be really harmful for the entire chain, your posture, your alignment, and your health in general. Here we go, coming down to the floor. Lay on your back, and I always start by rolling onto my side and then onto my back. Shoulder blades flat against the ground. Get the backs of your ribs down, get the back of your spine down. So we have this slight tuck right now. Take the ribs and pull them down so that your entire core is engaged and pulled up and in. When you breathe, breathe to draw the navel up and in, and then exhale to hold all the muscles there and keep them strong. Okay, so keep the shoulder blades down. We're activating now just the pelvis. As you exhale, tilt just the pelvis up, and as you inhale, set it down. Here's the thing, if you're really tight in your lower back or in your psoas, it's not going to want to just do this little tiny 2-inch thing, and it's not going to be very easy to bring up and down. It's going to want to plop up and down. It's going to kind of like that. Okay, so I want you to just really go slow and pretend like you're peeling up a piece of tape off of the floor and then putting it back down and not getting any air bubbles in it. Make sure that the small of your back stays down the whole time as well, because your back or your shoulders or your ribs are going to try to compensate if this is a struggle for your hips. Exhale on the way up and lengthen the front body. Inhale on the way down. So we're doing back body, front body lengthening in both directions. We should feel that engagement here as well as the length in the spine. Should feel good. Let's do one more like that. And set it all the way down. Okay, we can do a little bit of flexibility from here. Just taking one leg across the other, take your hand to that knee and just ease it outward. So this is going to open inner outer thigh a little bit, draw the belly button away from the legs. If you have a little bit of space for it, you bring the heel a little bit closer. And if you want to, you grab the back of the thigh and start to bring the thigh towards you. At the same time, I'm pressing the opposite knee out. I'll show you on the other side so you can see. So I'm not allowing this knee to collapse. I'm pressing it outward, which takes more effort. Also, back on the floor, right? Pulling that back on the floor and the navel up and in and pressing out through that knee. So if you're super tight, this is going to be a challenge. If you're super flexy, it's going to come all the way into your chest. Either one is okay. It's just wherever you are today. Set all of that down, roll onto your side, and we're going to go into a downward facing dog position. If you're not accustomed to this position, or if it's still a struggle for you, then take your time here. The purpose is to put the weight on your legs, not on your wrist. Okay? So I'm going to start on all fours. This is my little secret. I do all fours and then sit back and then tuck the toes under and lift the hips. That way we already have our weight back on our legs and not on our wrist. And the first thing we want to accomplish is a flat, long, straight back. Get the sits bones straight up in the air, ear in between the biceps, and we put the weight on the heels. So we're pulling the belly button away from the thighs, even though we're easing the body back to the legs. So we've got that core engagement happening, as well as opening the hips and the lower back in this position. When you get used to downward facing dog, it starts to feel like a stretch. In the beginning, it can feel like a lot of work. So give yourself breaks if you're practicing this for the first time. Now take your right leg up. And for some people, this is really, really tough. So you might have a bent leg today. You might not be extending all the way up to the sky. But first we start with the toes pointed down
and we ease the weight back, and then we start to open the hip and lift the leg a little bit higher and see where our flexibility is there. Not your shoulders, so I'm not looking this way under my shoulders. Shoulders stay square to the mat. Leg goes way up in the sky. Breathe and ease back into that back leg and raise that leg, but don't crane your lower back. In other words, I'm not like craning here and turning my shoulders, just length. Then take that leg underneath you, and we're gonna set it into a lunge. So whatever that lunge is for you, you might have to kind of walk it up towards the front of the mat, okay? And then take your hands to your leg, to a piece of furniture, to the wall, and ease that back leg back, pressing back through the back heel and forward through the front knee. This is to lengthen out the psoas that I was talking about, the hip flexor that gets super short if we're sitting a lot or if we're doing a lot of cardiovascular activity. The psoas has everything to do with our lower back being loose enough to loosen the hips, so it all works together, right? We're all a chain, we're not just one little body part. So pressing back through the heel, open the chest to the front if you have the space for it. Breathe. And then we're going to ease our way back in a downward facing dog. So to review, we start in child's pose, tuck the toes under, shift the hips up. Hips go straight up, back goes flat, ears go in between the biceps. Weight is in the legs, not in the hands. My hands can just kind of move around. We're really pressing back to lengthen the back of the legs and loosen up the hips. Okay, the other leg is going to go up now, so press it up. Find the space and then start to open the hip but not the shoulders. Get a little extra length there. Press up through that leg that's going up into the sky. Press down through the heel that's on the ground. And then ease it forward. We're going to set it down in a low lunge on that side. Give yourself a moment to find it on this side. So this side might be tighter or looser than the other. Ease your body over that front knee. Front knee stays over the front foot. Press back through the back heel and open right here, trying to open the front of this hip here. And you might need to like move it around side to side, down and up, forward and back. And it's like, ooh, I really found that spot. That's where you need to focus. Everybody's is different. Taking your time here and then easing back into the downward facing dog again. It's a little transition pose, okay? Now, we're going to go into pigeon stretch. Super valuable for hip flexibility. Pigeon is one of those things that like I could leave you there all day and it's probably a happy thing. Maybe we should all be setting up our desks to be sitting in pigeon for part of the day because it's just so valuable. So right leg is going to go up, but then I'm going to have you swing it underneath you and turn the knee out and set the shin bone down at the front of the mat. Press the back leg back to straight. And we're easing ourselves into pigeon. So let me show you from this angle. So this leg in the front is trying to be parallel to the wall behind me and then bringing the back leg behind me. So this back leg is going to go to straight and I'm easing the body up over both legs. Now you can tuck this foot under you. That can make it a little bit easier. Or if you're still stuck to the side, if you can't quite get that hip to open up, that's okay. It's just a work in progress for everybody. So no matter how you got here, ease yourself into a position that helps you stretch right here under the tushy. That part's really important because it can get super tight. It sort of sticks to the glutes and the hamstring. And then of course the psoas in the back right here, we want to stretch that as well. Okay, so take your time there, like enjoy it. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So you can transition by going back in a downward facing dog, swinging that leg back to the front. I'm just going to show you from here in case you want to take the sitting way. So we're sitting. This leg is parallel to the wall behind me, pulling that leg, then pulling the body up over both legs and easing the weight forward and down. Now you can come down to your forearms and that lengthens the back and eases the hips forward and down. I would just ask that you not drop your head. Keep your head in line with the rest of you. Ooh, that hip's tight today. I can feel that. So it's such a blessing to just sort of breathe into that IT band, which is that sticky stuff on that side. Roll out of it when you're ready. And hopefully that gave you a little bit of hip flexibility today. That should have felt good. It should have felt positive. Any pieces of that you need to borrow, just borrow it. We work on this stuff a lot in my class. So if you really need to work on developing this strength and flexibility, go to moxie.xyz/Carrie, C-A-R-R-I-E, like Princess Leia, and take a class.
a very reasonable amount to pay to take a class, or you can subscribe and get all my workouts. How great is that? I will see you in class. Let me know what questions you have. Enjoy the rest of your day.